Hi everyone, my name's Pieta Valentine. I've written 2 books, The Resident's Voice from a Dementia Unit and The Resident's Rise from a Dementia Unit. Today's session is on the stigma and prejudice of dementia. Often the first point that we come in contact with the stigma of dementia is from and after the diagnosis of dementia at the doctor's office. If, for example, Jim, your husband, is diagnosed with dementia and you then tell your friends that he has this diagnosis, it's often this reaction of, oh, I hope I don't get it, behind which fear, stigma and prejudice is there. So how to cope with this reaction? It's very difficult because it's extremely stressful. If you've had friends of the family for many years, say you've been in a community, say for 50 years, you and Jim, your husband, and then now that he's diagnosed with dementia, all your friends start sort of drifting away. It's upsetting and it's hard to understand. It's unexplainable as to why someone, just because their memory's fading, others would remove themselves. Because it's not a virus, you're not going to catch it. It's genetic in part, but this condition is not just, it's not another community. It's not another culture. It's within our own community and culture, at the very heart of our culture. So we have to be able to deal with this. We have to learn how to deal with it in some way, shape or form. But the problem is with stigma is that it's energy draining. That's one of the big disadvantages of it. Because, for example, if Anne has been looking after Jim for years now with dementia, and she's in her early 80s or mid 80s now, it's exhausting, Often the person's up at night, there's all the cares, there's all the problems involved. So she's already exhausted. She's probably not getting enough support. It's very difficult to get support enough to be able to make the whole situation manageable when people have dementia. So no doubt she's doing a lot of it on her own, and she's elderly and it's difficult. So when friends start to back off and back away, that emotional stress of that on top of all the hard work that you're already doing can almost be too much. But even worse than that is when the person is actually admitted into the dementia unit. That's when the wall really comes up. In villages where I've worked, retirement villages where, a large percentage of those people are going to be admitted to dementia facilities at some point. Once people are admitted to the facility, it's rare that someone will even walk 50 metres to come and visit their good friend once they've been admitted. It's very sad, but it's the reality. And you have to deal with the reality if you're to get on with it. So the best thing you can do, really, it's very difficult when you're in your latter years to have to cope with all this because, it's hard to adjust at any point in your life, let alone when you're 80 or mid 80s. But you have to, otherwise you just actually won't be able to manage or cope. So what you need to do is have a hard look at who is there to support you. So say it's Anne, who's the wife of Jim. Say she has one good friend who's supporting, one daughter in the city who's supporting, and she's probably lucky to have that. That's it. Or one sibling. Say she's got one sibling, one friend, one daughter. That's a good amount of people supporting. Often you only have 1 or 2. Sometimes you don't even have anyone supporting you, sad to say. But just say Anne has this group, but still she's very stressed and upset that no one's there. And the daughter's working full time. She hasn't got a lot of time. She's got her own family. And her sibling is not really that well, so she can't help that much. So it's only really her friend, Karen, that can help. So the best thing, and Karen says very pragmatic and sensible, say Karen has read up on dementia, maybe she's maybe Karen has even read the books and she's looked at the videos and she's there to help. Okay, we want these pragmatic sort of people in our lives. If they have been an ex-nurse, even better, fabulous. If they've worked in dementia facilities before, fantastic. You want people on your side that have some practical knowledge. Okay, so say your friend Karen is there, and I think the thing is you just need to sit down and talk with her as to how you're going to manage the situation of the stigma and prejudice that you're coming up against. Now, the first thing is that we have to save our energy. It's a very scarce resource at this point because Jim has been unwell for so long. There's been very little help at hand. It's physically exhausting. It's now emotionally wearing, with friends backing away with no understandable reason. So, you know, as the wife, Anne is feeling very dejected and down, and still there's a lot to do. That's the point. I mean, Jim hasn't moved into the unit yet. All the furniture needs to be organised, all the equipment that he needs, what's going to be taken into the unit. Then there's the form, all the things that we've gone into in the other videos that, you know, have to be organised and prepared for to go into a unit. All that still has to be done, and that takes energy. So the best thing to do is to sit down with your friend and work out the next step by step, day by day, what you're going to do, where you're going to put your energy. So you can only now afford to put your energy into people who are going to support you. Full stop. That's it. You cannot afford to put your energy into other people who are not supporting, who are challenging. You haven't got the energy to explain to them the situation. If they're not supporting, if they're not making an effort, you just really need to distance yourself from them and just work with the people who are supporting you and supporting Jim to be able to move forward with his entry point into the unit. And so it just means you have to, you know, draw back, you know, and consolidate, if you like, and work forward with what essentially needs to be done. And if you have a practical friend like Karen, who was nursing at some point in her life, she'll be able to help a lot. So just go along with Karen's advice, your pragmatic friend's advice, work out what you need to do, who's going to, you know, get the trailer and what furniture you're going to take into Jim's room, and, you know, all the bedding and all the different things that we've gone through that he needs. That's the best approach. So it really comes down to the pragmatic, practical aspects of how to help people with dementia, so that all the stigma and prejudice is just energy consuming and it's negative and it doesn't help. So you have to remove yourself from that and put your energy in what needs to be done to help the family member who is supporting that person that's going into the dementia facility. And there's a lot to be done there anyway. It takes all one's energy anyway to be able to do that effectively and hopefully efficiently and hopefully as smoothly as possible. So that's the way to go. Everyone else, just let them distance themselves. That's good, actually. Let their energy go off into the stratosphere. You focus on the people that are supportive and positive with you. And it doesn't matter if there's only 2 or 3 people. That's good. It doesn't even matter if there's 2 people, even 1 person. Just work with them quietly and do what you need to do to make the process smooth for your relative going into the facility. So thank you. If you have any friends or family who are in this position, where someone is being admitted into a facility, please pass on the information to them, these videos and these books and this other information, so that they can be better prepared for the present and for the future. Thank you.